You know, the unknown, unwanted, and unexpected happens to all of us. And when it does, we pull back in. And we seclude ourselves from other people for a while. I knitted 40 scarves. And I had daughters living in Florida, Texas, and California. But there comes a time when we're ready to go out again. Ready to take this small world that we created around us and break it open. And what I did 18 months after my husband died is I actually woke up one morning and was so tired of following all the advice on how to be a good widow. And of course, I was overachieving at being a good widow and doing what I was supposed to do. I got so frustrated, I threatened to learn to ride a motorcycle. That was the furthest thing I could think of in my mind, ride a motorcycle. But I was feeling rebellious. Why not? Say it out loud, it felt good. But all of you that know the power of attraction and attention, the universe doesn't understand sarcasm. The very next day, I'm having lunch with a friend I've known for 35 years. And when we meet and have lunch together, he said, please, Linda, tell me what it's like to recover from the loss of a love, a special love in life. And so, when we got together 18 months later, he expected me to say as a widow, yeah, things are coming back together. And I said, no, Ron, not at all. I've even gotten so frustrated, I sarcastically threatened to learn to ride a motorcycle. He starts to laugh. Okay, that's okay. I'm a bicyclist. I'm a greenie. I'm a tree hugger. I think motorcycles are loud and they violate everybody else's peace and quiet. That's not me. He says to me in the next sentence, Linda, I organize motorcycle trips around the world. And in 2 months, we're flying to Vancouver. And we're going to go to Victoria Island. And we're going to do the coast of Washington, Oregon, and Northern California on Harleys. Normally, there's 6 to 8 of us. This time, there's only 4. And the woman that was going with her husband, he has to put all his energy into the business, and she can't go unless we can get another woman. We need you. I had no trouble saying, absolutely not. And over the next month, I continued to look at what I would have told my corporate clients was, remember that famous saying that Einstein has that insanity is doing more of the same, expecting different results? I said, when are you going to do something different? So I impulsively signed up for a Harley Learn to Ride course 30 days before that trip. As how often happens with big plans, it didn't go perfectly. I failed the course. I failed the driver's test in Leesburg another 4 times before I finally got my license. Would you want to go with me on a motorcycle trip at that point? But I flew. And stupidity, I think ignorance is very important at times because people say you're courage. I said, no, I just didn't know. I get on a brand new motorcycle I've never ridden before. Having only been on it 30 days earlier. Never been out of third gear very much. And we jump on this new motorcycle. I don't even ride it around the parking lot once or twice. We jump straight into Vancouver traffic to go to the ferry. Talk about white knuckles. We get there and we wait for the ferry to come and we're in these long lines and the ferry comes and this huge plank comes down and crushes and it's a grate. If you know anything about 2 wheels on a motorcycle when you're riding on about that much leather, I'm sitting here with 100 cars, 30 motorcycles, and I'm going to have to ride this up a grate among a pack of motorcycles. And we're the first to get on. It continues this way throughout the trip. But I discovered something. That was that your world gets bigger when you do things you're afraid of. The bridge that's between Washington State and Oregon is 2 miles long. You go up into the clouds. There's no sides on that sucker keeping you from seeing. You can see the Pacific Ocean one side, Columbia the other, and you're up there in the clouds. Birds are below me, not above me. And you can see these little ships that are just inches long. And remember I said I'm afraid of heights? This is before my trapeze class. And you sit there and you hold that motorcycle to the road, and you're wondering and doing self-talk like crazy. Do you know what happens on the other side when you make it? Do you remember what it feels like when you've done something you thought you can't do? I found joy for the first time in their life. First time in the last 18 months. You find joy when you go and say, I can't do something. You erase the boundary and you say, yes, I can. And you erase another boundary and say, yes, I can. So, the other thing that happened too on this trip is we think we are so sophisticated. We have TV, we have radio, we have internet. We get to see all parts of the country and around the world that we see. Let me tell you, wearing leather from head to foot and standing next to a big motorcycle, all of a sudden people were approaching me from right and left. Men that normally I would have crossed the street, not to meet on the sidewalk, were coming up to me and we were having wonderful discussions. And the most important thing about these discussions was we didn't always talk about motorcycles. We just talked about normal things. And kids, heavily pierced and tattooed. You know how often teenagers look for a woman with my hair color and come up and talk to me? They would come up to me enthusiastically. What I realized, again, with this world that gets so small, is how big the world was getting. And it was expanding. And you all know this. When we go to different cultures, we study different people, we learn about their customs, and how much of our own country we don't know about. And my world was growing larger and larger and larger. And guess what happens when it grows that large? You suddenly realize we're all one. And it gets very small. So your world is simultaneously large and small. Now I have to put down the microphone for this next piece.
But those of you that know me know I can project. So, the nice thing is, it's our world that gets very small. It gets broader every time we erase a boundary and go do something else. And the more we embrace other people, I continuously now continue to talk to all sorts of people I didn't realize I did. Now, you may be looking at me at this point in the show and program and saying, gee, I'm sort of like Linda. I sort of do the same thing. But let me give you one warning.